1992 novel by P.D. James, and influenced by the real events of 9/11 and the London bombings, Children of Men is a science fiction and horror and thriller film that describes a world of horror where in the future no woman can get pregnant. But in the end, there is hope, as there is hope for humanity once more. It is directed by Alfonso Cuarón, with the screenplay written by Mark Fergus. It's produced by Universal Studios, with these people were the main causes for telling the story of Children of Men. When the film was released in 2006, it had mixed reactions. There were people like Roger Ebert who praised its gritty and unique depiction of the future that was different from other sci-fi films. However, judging by its box office earnings, it didn't do so well to capture the interest of the public, probably because its marketing was quite inaccurate. The audience were probably expecting a love story, but the film it's much more than that. It's about the story of Theo's redemption, how he goes from a nihilist to an optimist. But how does he do this? He brings hope to humanity once more by bringing Key to safety, a pregnant woman who can give humanity one last chance to have children. But this was the same man by immigrants without caring for their health. He would walk by immigrants and he wouldn't care. He wouldn't be interested. So how can this be the same man who was of Men uses the conventions of many different genres and their narratives too, such as character deaths and violence from the horror genre. It also includes the narratives of characters being the underdog, and also that the characters are in immense danger that is present in the thriller genre of films. It also includes the narratives of the science fiction genre, including fictional technology, fictional events, and fictional. I bring this up because all of these contexts are used to describe the world that Theo Varen is in, and used to develop on why his reactions to this world are important. For some background information of the world that Theo is in, I'll explain what has happened so far during the production of Children of Men, which began in 2005. On the 7th of July, there was a terrorist attack by Islamic terrorists that has now been called the London bombings, where 52 died and 700 were injured by these terrorists. The United Kingdom government decided to respond to this attack by implementing a stricter immigration policy called Protecting Our Borders, the 5-year plan, which enabled stronger government protection of the borders and a stronger protection system to control immigration through. Alfonso Cuarón obviously relished in this idea when developing his film, the feelings that all the British citizens were feeling, and the government at the time, of being scared of terrorists and immigrants. He commented on this throughout the film, where you can see immigrants being treated harshly throughout the film. And we see Theo, which represents the public of the UK, not caring about how they're being treated. And he sees them every day how they're being treated, but he does nothing about it and doesn't have any interest. So, how does Theo react to this world? Well, from the beginning, we see Farron as uncaring and unemotional and doesn't have interest in this happening to it, unlike the rest of the characters. For example, in the very first scene, we see from a high-angle shot of the coffee store, where everyone seems sad to hear about the death of baby Diego. Everyone except Farron, who has the expression of uninterested, portrayed by his character actor. Most narratives usually have their protagonists be likable from the start. However, Theo in Children of Men appears to be quite an exception, as he doesn't show very likable qualities, which is a very unique take on a protagonist. Theo being uncaring and uninterested in the treatment of immigrants as he sees them being tortured in cages, and he doesn't seem to be interested or stop to see them, represents how the public seems to view immigrants themselves. However, Theo's nihilistic attitude in this horrifying world is interrupted when he meets another symbol of optimism, his former ex-wife, Julian. Julian, who we later learn was the mother of his former child, who tells him and asks him to get transportation tickets to a girl so she can go to some unnamed destination in England. At first, he seems quite uninterested in this, portrayed by his bored facial expressions and monotone voice by Clive Owen. He even tries to get more money, showing he doesn't seem to care about this girl. However, as the film goes on, we see Theo hang out with Julian more, and he shows more emotions. He shows emotions of rage and emotions of love and romantic feelings for Julianne. He even suggests that he's not in this job just for the money. When Julian says that he's just in this job for money, he says, when we see him and Julian walk down the stairs, we see a baby stroller, walk there, be right next to them as they walk, which shows that in the scene, he's trying to get back to what Julian once had. Once he meets with the girl he's trying to help escape, he witnesses Julian die, which causes him to feel sad, as we see from a high angle, which is trying to make the audience see how Theo has hit rock bottom and how he is sad on the ground alone. This scene shows that he wasn't as monotone as he was before, however, his shining moment comes later. Fuji Barn with Key, he meets with Key, where Key tells him that she is pregnant, on which Clive Owen betrays him to have a facial expression we haven't seen before, which is pure optimism. Selflessness and care for other people, as he tries to tell Key that she needs proper treatment and needs to find help elsewhere that's medical. See Theo hear about how the Fugees actually killed Julian, and realizing that he is not safe, and neither is Miriam, and neither is he tries to get them all to leave the house. He drives with them and takes them to the safest person he knows, that is Jasper, so they can be safe from the Fugees. They talk about getting paid to the projects. We then see Miriam and Key talk with Jasper about how Farron's baby once died. We see the camera pin the expression of Farron, and we see him be sad over this, which is portrayed by Clive Owen through facial expressions. That Theo is sad that his baby has died. Clive Owen then portrays him to be even more sad when he sees Jasper, his friend, die. But in spite of him being sad, he still tries to get Key to a safe area to get her to. Theo then witnesses the world and pain that the immigrants he once passed through are feeling, and then he then transports Key to safety, where he seems generally happy. We then see, but the happiness is soon over, as we see Theo witness Key getting kidnapped by the Fugees. But eventually, he's able to get Key back, and then eventually take her on the boat. He then takes her to the boy so that the ship of the projects can then take her. He dies, but he seems genuinely happy that he is able to bring peace to humanity and give it a chance once more. He lived a nihilist, but he died an optimist for humanity. That is his redemption throughout the film. Throughout the film, it usually showed Theo from a high angle, as if the audience was judging him. But now the angle is with him. It's showing his face, as if the audience has gained his respect. And the score is quite optimistic and hopeful, as if Theo has just done a good act, and that the film is ending on a high note. Unlike most character arcs, Theo is still a flawed man at the end, but overall, he dies a good man as he has done a good act. Considering this film shows illegal immigrants in quite an sympathetic and empathetic view, it probably didn't resonate with the American and English viewers at the time, who were very much against terrorists and illegal immigrants. But as this film shows a sympathetic and empathetic view of how the audience goes from seeing illegal immigrants from just gross to empathetic and sympathizes with them, just like how Theo did, before he didn't care about them, and at the end he lived with them and died for them.